Most gardeners assume that vegetables must be sown, tended, and replanted each year, an endless cycle that ties harvests to annual effort. But hidden in the margins of horticulture are a handful of resilient crops that quietly upend this rule. Vegetables that anchor themselves deep in the soil, storing energy in roots, crowns, or tubers, and returning year after year, much like the fruit trees in an old orchard. Today, we are exploring 10 remarkable vegetables that grow with perennial persistence, unfamiliar to most, yet capable of offering harvests for up to a decade or more with minimal replanting. Ranked for their longevity, hardiness, and ease in the home garden, these uncommon varieties span wind-swept coastal beds, fertile inland plots, shaded corners, and subtropical arbors, each demonstrating how thoughtful crop selection can lighten the gardener's workload while deepening nature's partnership. We begin our journey at the edge of the sea, where the first entry sets the tone for what is possible on even the most challenging ground. In the 10th place, sea kale stands as a testament to resilience along windswept shores. Growing wild across the pebbled beaches of northern Europe, this coastal brassica defies the salt and shifting sands with a deep, fleshy root system that anchors it against storms. Unlike most vegetables, sea kale sends up thick, asparagus-like shoots each spring, fueled by energy stored underground. Its blue-green leaves and snowy flower heads once graced Victorian kitchen gardens, but overharvesting in the 1800s nearly erased it from the British coastline. Today, gardeners rediscover its quiet strength, planting root cuttings in early spring and choosing sandy, well-drained beds where few other crops thrive. Sea kale asks for patience. Harvests begin only after its second year, and careful picking ensures the plant endures for up to a decade. Hardy in zones 4 to 8, it shrugs off drought and salt spray, offering a perennial harvest where annuals would fail. For those tending gardens at the edge of possibility, sea kale promises a long-lived, low-maintenance crop, one that blurs the line between wild and cultivated, between vegetable bed and orchard. Number 9. Perennial leeks offer a quiet revolution for temperate gardens. Unlike their annual cousins, these leeks form dense clumps, multiplying year by year from a single planting. Each spring or fall, gardeners can lift the outer stems, leaving the heart of the clump undisturbed, to enjoy a steady supply of mild, onion-like stalks. With a realistic lifespan of 5 to 10 years per clump, perennial leeks thrive in USDA zones 5 through 9, provided the soil drains freely. Raised beds or mounded rows are especially helpful, as standing water is the enemy of healthy leeks. Rot sets in quickly if crowns remain wet. Dividing clumps every 3 to 5 years keeps them vigorous and prevents overcrowding, while selective harvesting ensures a constant renewal of shoots. Unlike annual leeks, there is no need for seed trays or replanting each season, just a simple calendar of division and harvest. The work is lighter, the harvests more dependable, and the risk of disease lower when airflow and drainage are prioritized. For gardeners seeking a dependable allium with minimal fuss, perennial leeks quietly deliver, year after year. 8th place belongs to Turkish rocket, a perennial mustard that brings a bold, peppery kick to the garden year after year. With its deep-rooted crown, Turkish rocket survives harsh winters and returns each spring, pushing up clusters of spicy leaves that thrive in zones 4 through 8. Once established, a single plant can persist for more than a decade, quietly expanding its footprint if left unchecked. Unlike annual salad greens that demand reseeding every season, Turkish rocket's energy is banked below ground, fueling lush growth with minimal intervention. Gardeners sow seeds or set divisions in spring, spacing plants about 18 inches apart to allow for mature spread. While its leaves offer a robust, arugula-like flavor, harvesting young growth is key. Older leaves develop a sharp bitterness that can overwhelm a salad. Cutting back after flowering helps keep the plant tender and contained. Turkish rocket's resilience makes it a dependable choice for low-maintenance beds, but its vigor requires a watchful eye to prevent crowding. For those seeking a hardy, perennial green with a fiery edge, Turkish rocket stands as an adventurous addition to the perennial patch. Number 7. Chayote transforms a warm climate garden into a living pantry that produces for decades. Native to Central America and beloved in kitchens from the Gulf Coast to the Philippines, this vigorous vine sends out lush green tendrils that can quickly cover an arbor or trellis, creating a shady retreat while yielding a steady crop of pear-shaped fruits. Unlike annual squash, chayote's secret lies beneath the soil, a starchy, tuberous root system that stores energy through mild winters, powering new growth each spring in frost-free regions. In zones 9 through 11, a single planting can persist for 10 to 20 years, offering both fruit and edible roots season after season. The planting method is as simple as it is unusual. Set an entire mature fruit, sprout and all, into the ground in autumn, and wait for the vine to emerge as days warm. Chayote thrives in full sun, with good drainage and a sturdy support. Some Gulf Coast gardeners construct elaborate wooden arbors to bear the weight of its sprawling canopy and heavy fruit clusters. While its abundance is legendary, chayote is sensitive to cold. Even a light frost can cut short its lifespan, so it is best reserved for subtropical gardens where winters stay mild. With the right conditions, chayote becomes more than a vegetable. It is a perennial companion, reducing the need for annual replanting and rewarding patients with baskets of fresh produce long after most squash vines have faded. Number 6. Good King Henry thrives quietly in the shaded corners of temperate gardens, offering a taste of resilience drawn from centuries of European kitchen plots. Often overlooked in the rush for modern greens, this perennial goosefoot has been cultivated since the Bronze Age, prized for its tender shoots in spring and broad, spinach-like leaves through the early summer. Unlike annual spinach, Good King Henry returns year after year from a deep taproot, storing energy below ground to power fresh growth each spring. Once established, a single planting can produce for a decade or more, with the crown sending up new shoots even after harsh winters. It prefers partial shade or dappled sunlight, making it ideal for understory beds beneath fruit trees or along north-facing fences, and tolerates zones 3 through 9. Gardeners sow seed or set divisions in rich, well-drained soil in spring, then wait patiently. Harvests of pencil-thick shoots begin only in the 2nd or 3rd year, cut just below the soil like asparagus. During and after the Second World War, Good King Henry became known as poor man's asparagus, a reliable standby when rationing left pantries bare. Its leaves, though nutritious, carry oxalates similar to spinach. Boiling or steaming before eating leaches out much of this compound, reducing risk for those with kidney concerns. Regular but gentle harvesting, never more than 1/3 of the plant at once, keeps the crown vigorous, while heavy mulching and occasional manure feedings encourage lush regrowth. For gardeners seeking a perennial green that asks little and gives for years, Good King Henry offers a steady, shade-loving harvest, quietly bridging the gap between fleeting annuals and the enduring bounty of a fruit tree orchard. Number 5. Malabar spinach brings a burst of lush green to gardens where summer heat leaves traditional spinach wilting. This vigorous climber, native to tropical Asia and Africa, is not a true spinach, but stands in as a leafy green when temperatures soar. In regions where winter frost never bites, zones 9 and warmer, Malabar spinach behaves as a perennial, sending out thick, glossy vines that can climb 10 feet or more each season. The plant's resilience comes from its ability to regrow from a woody base, storing energy in swollen stems that survive year after year if cold is kept at bay. Where nights stay warm, a single planting can keep producing for 3 to 5 years, offering dense harvests of tender, slightly mucilaginous leaves prized in stir-fries and salads. Unlike annual greens that bolt and fade with the first heat wave, Malabar spinach thrives in full sun and demands regular moisture, rewarding attentive watering with lush, rapid growth. It needs a sturdy trellis or fence to support its weight, and careful pruning keeps the vines manageable and productive. Seeds or cuttings are best started after all danger of frost has passed, nestled into rich, well-drained soil. In addition to its edible leaves, gardeners sometimes use the plant's deep purple berries as a natural dye. The main pitfall is exposure to cold spells or planting in areas prone to frost, which can kill the vines and end their perennial cycle. For those in the right climate, Malabar spinach fills a vital niche, providing a reliable, heat-loving green that returns each season, transforming the summer garden into a vertical orchard of edible leaves. Number 4. Tree collards rise above the vegetable patch with a presence that echoes a young orchard. These tall, woody brassicas can reach 6 to 10 feet in height, forming sturdy stems that persist through the seasons. Unlike annual kales that fade at summer's end, tree collards anchor themselves with a perennial crown, storing energy below ground to fuel leafy growth year after year. In the right conditions, mild climates from zone 7 to 11, a single planting can produce for 5 to 15 years, sometimes even longer. Gardeners in Northern California have quietly preserved this crop for generations, passing down cuttings among families to keep the lineage alive when commercial varieties disappeared. The leaves, mild and tender, can be harvested continuously, peaking in flavor through winter and early spring. To support their upward ambition, tree collards need staking as stems elongate, much like young fruit trees. Spacing plants about 3 feet apart ensures sunlight reaches every leaf, while rich, well-drained soil prevents root rot, a common pitfall if crowns sit in soggy beds. Over-pruning young plants or planting in deep shade can weaken their structure, so a balance of sun and steady support is key. Propagation is simple. Take a cutting, root it in moist soil, and watch as a new tree collard takes hold. With minimal replanting and thoughtful care, these living pillars offer a steady supply of nutritious greens, reducing the gardener's workload for years on end. In the perennial garden, tree collards stand as a true vegetable tree, bridging the gap between annual beds and the enduring promise of a homegrown orchard. Coming to the top 3, perennial sorrel brings a sharp, lemony tang to the garden just as winter's grip begins to loosen. This deep-rooted green is among the very first to push through thawing soil, often weeks before most annual vegetables can be sown. Its secret lies below ground, where a thick taproot stores energy drawn from last year's sunlight, fueling rapid regrowth each spring. In climates as cold as Zone 3 and as warm as Zone 9, sorrel shrugs off frost and drought alike, making it one of the hardiest greens a gardener can plant. A single crown, once established, can thrive for 6 to 10 years, steadily expanding its clump with each passing season. Gardeners looking to bridge the so-called hunger gap, that lean stretch between winter's end and the first new crops, find sorrel's early leaves a welcome relief, packed with vitamin C and a brisk, refreshing acidity that brightens soups and salads. Dividing crowns in early spring, just as the first leaves appear, keeps the patch vigorous and productive. Plant each division in moist, well-drained soil, and partial shade will help prolong the harvest deep into summer. Sorrel's deep taproot not only anchors the plant against drought, but also draws up minerals from far below the surface, enriching the flavor and nutritional value of each leaf. While its resilience means less labor year to year, there are a few cautions. Overharvesting can weaken the crown, so it's best to pick only a third of the leaves at a time, allowing the plant to replenish its stores. Like spinach and Good King Henry, sorrel contains oxalates, which give its signature tartness, but can cause problems if eaten in excess, especially for those prone to kidney stones. Cooking or pairing with calcium-rich foods helps mitigate this risk. With a lifespan stretching up to a decade, perennial sorrel stands out for its ability to deliver the earliest harvests, its adaptability across a broad climate range, and the way it quietly transforms the spring garden into a perennial source of nourishment. In the rhythm of a low-maintenance, productive patch, few greens rival the reliability and bright flavor of sorrel, making it a cornerstone for gardeners who prize both resilience and taste. In second place, Egyptian walking onions march across the garden with a persistence that borders on whimsical. These hardy alliums have a habit unlike any other. Instead of setting seeds, they produce clusters of miniature bulbs, called bulbils, at the tops of their stalks. As the season draws on, the stalks bend under the weight, lowering the bulbils to the soil, where they root and form new plants. Over time, this slow motion migration creates an ever-expanding patch, as if the onions are taking measured steps outward year after year. Hardy from Zone 3 through Zone 9, Egyptian walking onions shrug off bitter cold, drought, and neglect. They thrive where many annual onions would fail. Extension trials in the upper Midwest have noted their resilience, with clumps surviving deep freezes and returning stronger each spring, even under dry conditions. A single planting can persist for a decade or two, sending up edible greens in early spring, followed by crisp stalks and eventually the bulbils that power their self-planting habit. To start a patch, gardeners simply nestle the bulbils 1 inch deep and 6 to 8 inches apart in well-drained soil, preferably in a sunny bed. There is little need for fuss. Just avoid planting too deeply, as the onions prefer to keep their shoulders close to the surface. The main challenge comes not from coaxing growth, but from containing it. Left unchecked, walking onions can wander into neighboring beds, so harvesting the bulbils each summer doubles as both harvest and control. Mulching in late autumn helps the clump weather the harshest winters, while occasional division every few years keeps the colony vigorous. Unlike annual onions, there is no need to replant or start from seed each spring. The walking onions do the work themselves, quietly multiplying and offering a steady supply of greens and mild bulbs with almost no intervention. For gardeners seeking a nearly hands-off harvest that endures for decades, Egyptian walking onions offer a living lesson in self-sufficiency, a vegetable army that walks, roots, and feeds season after season. And finally, in first place, sunchokes stand as the perennial powerhouse of the vegetable world, a sunflower cousin that quietly rewrites what it means to plant for the long term. Also known as Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes thrive where most crops struggle, sending up towering stems topped with yellow blooms while working their real magic underground. Each spring, thick, knobby tubers emerge from the soil, packed with inulin, a complex carbohydrate that stores energy for the plant and delivers a high-calorie harvest for the gardener. This inulin-rich reserve is what powers sunchokes through harsh winters and dry spells, allowing a well-established patch to produce for 20 years or more without replanting. The numbers are hard to match. A single 10 by 10 foot bed can yield over 100 pounds of crisp, nutty tubers each season, far outpacing most annual root crops. Planting is as straightforward as it gets. Simply bury tubers 12 to 18 inches apart in early spring in any reasonably fertile soil, and stand back. Sunchokes are hardy from Zone 3 to Zone 9, shrugging off frost, summer heat, and even neglect. Their deep, spreading rhizomes tap into water and nutrients well below the reach of most annuals, making them a reliable choice in both rich and marginal soils. But this abundance comes with a caution. Sunchokes are infamous for their vigor, and left unchecked they can overrun a garden bed, crowding out less robust neighbors. Extension agents and seasoned growers alike recommend installing sturdy root barriers, corrugated plastic or metal edging sunk 2 feet deep, to keep their underground spread in bounds. Harvesting is another form of control. Always leave a few tubers in the ground to ensure regrowth, but dig the rest each fall to prevent unwanted expansion. Some gardeners rotate their sunchoke patch every few years, using the plant's appetite for nutrients to rejuvenate tired soil, then moving it before it becomes too entrenched. Beyond sheer productivity, sunchokes embody the perennial promise at the heart of this countdown. Plant once and harvest for decades with minimal labor, beyond seasonal digging and occasional thinning. Their resilience makes them a cornerstone for food security, especially in climates prone to drought or cold. For those willing to manage their enthusiasm, Sunchokes offer a nearly inexhaustible supply of nutritious tubers and a living lesson in how perennial vegetables can transform the rhythm of the garden. As the seasons turn, the sunchoke patch becomes not just a source of food, but a reminder of the quiet power of planting for the future, where a single act of planting yields rewards year after year, blurring the line between vegetable beds and the enduring abundance of a fruit tree orchard. Across all 10 of these resilient vegetables, a quiet pattern emerges. Nature rewards patience and thoughtful selection with abundance that endures. Each plant's deep roots or persistent crowns transform the garden from a fleeting patchwork into a living legacy, harvest after harvest, season after season. The lesson is simple yet profound. When we choose crops that persist, the garden itself becomes a partner in resilience, offering nourishment that outlasts a single year.